Spartans, to the latest podcast evolved book club. We read sometimes. Yay!
Yay!
I am your host, Krysta. I know they're letting me take the reins on this one because I'm so experienced. And with me today is Aaron.
Yay!
David.
Hello, everybody.
And Oran.
What's up?
And we are talking about Halo Envoy, the return of the illustrious Grey Team.
Yay!
Yay. Okay. So, of course, Halo Envoy, the author is Tobias Buckell. Hey, how's it going?
Buckell.
Buckell. I don't know.
You need to learn how to say his name.
I know. I mean, we'll work on it. We're working on it. The formats available are paper, ebook, and audio. I mean, the only one to do is paper, though, because you get a nice little map. But,
The ebook has the map as well,
Shut
I will
up.
say.
But the audiobook's got the pronunciations, Krysta.
The
oh, that's
audiobook
true.
does have that.
I do like the pronunciations. So
Yeah,
the
you
release
sick
date,
boy.
we're almost doing this to the year. So April 25th, 2017. It's
Wow.
416 pages, give or take. It's the return of Grey Team. I mean, who isn't excited about this? Guys? Grey Team?
Woo! I am extremely excited about this.
So I'm just going to read a quick synopsis just to get everyone up to speed. So it has been 6 years since the end of the Covenant War, and yet on the planet Carrow, a world on the edge of the Joint Occupation Zone, a decisive new battle suddenly erupts. Human colonists and the alien Sangheli have already been living in a tension-filled coexistence in this place, with the unified Earth government envoy Melody attempting to broker the lasting peace between their two species. But as a civil war now engulfs the Sangheli settlers, Melody can act on an additional covert assignment courtesy of the Office of Naval Intelligence. Thanks, Sony. We love you. Find a way to free Spartan-IIs, known as Grey Team, held in stasis since the end of the war by cunning elite fleet masters, consumed with vengeance. And none can anticipate the ongoing violence leading to the discovery of an even greater, unstoppable threat hidden for eons below the surface of the planet.
Hashtag story of Halo.
Yeah, hashtag this is every
So
Halo
what?
book
There's
ever.
a greater enemy below the surface of something?
Hashtag
better believe
every
it.
Halo book ever.
Wow.
This is just a very common Halo book. It's like Oni did something. We have to do something that's seemingly simple, and then the real threat comes. Bum bum bum.
What I do like about this is that there's a bunch of different moments where you have all the people who know like different secrets, and like there's a point where it's just like, what's her name? The governor's trying to talk about something, and the general's like, "Wait,
Ellis.
you shouldn't say some of that." And she's like, "Oh, screw it. Everyone has secrets. We have a nuke, guys. Like
We all
there
have
you go.
secrets. Let's just put all of our dicks on the table. Come on."
We have a
That's
nuke."
basically what they did.
Which is quite refreshing for a Halo novel, because like everybody knows stuff in Halo, but no one knows all the stuff. So I like the coming together of different groups. They're all putting their information in.
So just to keep everyone up to speed, this book takes place in September of 2558. Another very important date is when Grey Team entered stasis 6 years prior, which is December 31st, 2552. Just so we can get some of those dates right, because it does get a little muddled sometimes with Halo books. So we start off the book on the unwavering discipline with our friends Melody and Rokja. Rokja?
Yeah, go with it.
We'll go with that.
Rajka.
Rajka.
You
There
gotta
we
say
go.
that J.
Rajka. How about that? You like that? Good?
Yeah. The audiobook
Rajka-
would agree.
Rajka is a fleet master currently one of the heads of the city of Sangheli on the planet, and he is not very happy with humans. He's captured 3 warriors known as the Demon 3 that exploded his previous planet.
Spoilers.
Why do you think this is a book club, David?
No, I think they did a great job of building up Grey Team. Did this big evil thing. You don't know what it is, and the book like drip feeds you throughout in terms of like coming together of what Grey Team did, and that was like their last mission that they were sent to at the end of Cole Protocol. So I love that tie-in, and that the dates, like you said, are very important to what actually happens.
This book drip feeds like exactly what happened and what the real threat is. It's almost like, it almost drove me crazy. I'm like, just tell me it, please. Please,
Yeah.
I just want to know. Because they like kept mentioning it for chapters and chapters and chapters. It's just like, please tell me. I just want to know. So we have these two on the ship. Melody, of course, has a secret mission to release Grey Team. And Rajka's like, nah, those are Demon 3, yo. They destroyed my planet, and that's not cool.
He has one of the best character arcs, I think, in
He
terms of
does.
just development in like all the kind of Halo novels. I love his story of essentially when you learn over time the story of the Sangheili on this planet, that they're essentially refugees themselves because their planet was
From
destroyed
Glek. What is
by
it?
Grey
Glek?
Team, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Glecky.
They all
Glekking.
come here to build their city themselves, and then humans show up again, and it's all like, whoa, what's happening? It's really tense. It's cool.
Well, and the UNSC gives them this planet. They're like, yo, sorry about that planet. Here's a new one. They're like, cool, wait, there's humans here. What the hell?
I think the Sangheili were first.
Well, technically, the humans were first, because there was a city abandoned by humans before the war, and then they just came back to retake their city after the war and just discovered, hey, we're not alone on this world. And so the UNSC and Oni, of course, took this as a way to kind of foster peace between the two species, but also they're like, hey, there's a Forerunner artifact on the planet, so let's not tell anyone about that. Also, neither side likes Oni or the UNSC, because the refugees from Earth or from Mars are like, hey, we don't like government, and then the Sangheili are like, hey, we don't like humans. So the UNSC has a presence on this planet, but it's a very low presence. They're kind of sneaking around and hiding.
Yeah, can we take one brief second to talk about Oni's plan? Just briefly, that Oni's plan was, let's not disturb this ancient artifact under the ground. In fact, if they build more of a city on top of it, that hides it better. That was the worst plan, because it was just like the elite, or the brutes had no choice but to come down and go, I'm going to smash this. It's like, let's destroy it all.
And also they're like, all right, what should we do to kind of guard? I know they're building a city over it, so that kind of helps it a little bit, but what should be our plan B? And they're like, we'll put a facility with 0 armory and 1 guy in it close by, just in case.
With 1 gun.
Yeah, with 1 gun. No
but
armory,
I think, like,
just
from
a guy
the sounds
and a gun.
of it, they thought there was no way they could dig quickly enough that this one guy would just, like, raise the alarm, and that was it.
That's true, yeah. They thought they'd bring in the UNSC.
Even
on
though,
top of them.
like, it didn't really take the entire Covenant fleet that long to, like, dig out the fucking portal generator in Earth.
That's true, but they had way more ships, though.
But this is a much smaller artifact.
Well, the thing about it is that we can just go into it right now. I mean, the Forerunner artifact down there can only be opened with the helmet, the Vertex, I think it's called. And you need both of them in order to do anything. So Oni was thinking, like, the likelihood of someone actually finding the helmet to activate this facility, knowing where the facility is, and destroying everything in order to get to that facility.
And plus the brutes come down with like 1 ship to do their excavating, and a crap ton of grunts, so like they're taking the hard way out. Or the hard way, I suppose, to actually uncovering it.
Actually, I like the way they talk about it here. We're kind of bouncing about a bit. When they talk about, like, the naval engagement, and they talk about when the brutes come in, the elites are kind of slightly sickened by the fact that the brutes just jump straight into the middle, and they don't raise their shields, they just have a ton of armor, and they just dish out the damage and take it.
That's, again, just things I love, but it just show the differences between the races in terms of how they treat warfare. And
like, the elites are like, there's no tactics involved, you just jump into the middle and just take a beating and give it back out.
Well, that's a cool now that we're back to the start, but I think the intro to the book is great. Like, big action-packed intros, like, immediately the Sangheili have begun a civil war amongst themselves, and it's just like already gone bad, and it's just then on top of that these brutes come in and just screw everything up, and it's just a cool, awesome moment of what's taking place on what you say, unwavering discipline, and then what's taking place outside of that. It's cool, and to have like Ruka trying to reconcile both, kind of like his hatred for Thars for like fucking everything up. And I love the way that it's just a case of you're fucking everything up because we're equally matched. You didn't actually have the upper hand, and now we've just fucked up both our fleets for no gain. I love that. I love that that's how he thinks, that like now we can't defend our planet because both of our fleets are fucked up. And now you've given it over to the brutes. And Taras just doesn't see that till like the very, very, very end. But I love that. I love their dynamic and just how Rocket thinks. And then, I don't know, it's so cool. Take it away, Chris.
Can we talk about how awesome Melody is as she like runs in the ship and basically kills a bunch of, not kills, but she gets past a bunch of Sangheili guards to get to Grey Team and activate them?
I think you are right. I do think how her understanding and knowledge of the Sangheili culture, she uses that to manipulate her way into the armory and just stares down at the quartermaster to get like weapons and stuff. I mean,
her speech is like 100. She is so good.
Oh,
and even
so
like
baller.
later in the story, Rajka's like, you speak things and make it happen, and I don't know how you do that. He's like perplexed by this.
Yeah, that was a great moment.
And even just that's just a great way of how an alien culture that isn't used to like diplomatic solutions, let's say, going to terms with how humanity works, and in terms of like how this person can say these things and make it come to pass, and then where he goes to in the end of his story arc is just so satisfying, just to see him understand, learn, come to terms with, and ultimately change. I love that.
I mean, I think he definitely had the best story arc, because I mean, Grey Team, they kind of come out of cryosleep and they're, you realize something's wrong with them. The team's broken, and it's comes up many times in the book how broken the team is. But I mean, other than that little like mend they had to do between each other, Grey Team is always just Grey Team. You point them in a direction and they go. The characters are interesting, but there's not much, they don't really build on each other anymore because they've been around each other for so long.
I suppose there's that too. And yeah, I suppose they're Spartan-IIs when they went into cryo. They're Spartan-IIs when they come out. They're going to be Spartan-IIs at the end. There's all that deep ingrained training in them. That's why they're so unique. That's why they'll always help, regardless, like even at in the middle.
And they don't really know what else to do. Like even when they
they
woke up, they're like, "Yeah, the war's over." And they're like, "What? What do you like?" The
war
war
yeah,
can't
that
be
was
over.
like the biggest
war.
like.
And he's like, "What?" Like they like don't understand. And like even from like if that happened to not necessarily one of us, but like just a regular human, like their acceptance, I feel like would be a little bit easier, even after a 30-year war. But like they were fighting insurrectionists before the Covenant came, and like they were like practically bred and grown and manipulated to just always fight threats and protect humanity to where like, oh yeah, the war is over, so you don't have to fight them anymore. So they're trying to understand that, but then at the same time, it's like, okay, well then why are people still fighting? And Melody's just like, well, it's kind of complicated, and it just kind of goes from there.
Well, and honestly, it's really interesting to see their discomfort when they do end up working with Sangheili towards the middle of the book, and they finally kind of make a kind of, it's not quite an alliance, but it's a temporary alliance. They're dealing with each other for the time being, but between Rajka and
enemy
Grey
of my
Team.
enemy.
Yeah, that's basically what it becomes, but they're like, it's weird that I'm not murdering this guy right now, was kind of their whole consent with the whole thing. Strange that I'm not murdering him.
Yeah, it's pretty dope.
I mean, it's interesting to see Spartan-IIs wake up in a situation like this, because we usually don't get to... Because, I mean, the Spartan-IIs, like Master Chief, they've been awake this whole time, kind of. Master Chief went to bed a little bit. But, I mean, Master Chief allied with the Arbiter before he went into his long cryo sleep. So this is the first time, like, a Spartan team
and he did that way easier than I think most people would.
Yeah, the only other Spartans that like have this freak out is Red Team in Halo Wars, because you have them the same thing. They're like, how strong is the Covenant force here? And Isabel's like, what the but like even they adapt to that pretty quickly. It's just like, okay, they're not the Covenant, it's just something else, let's go kill them all.
That's true, but they have an immediate threat that looks like the Covenant, so like nothing really changes for them in terms of like, okay, we have to deal with this now.
Grey Team wakes up during basically a diplomatic alliance between Sangheili and the humans on Carrow, this planet.
Yeah, and as that's falling apart.
Yeah, as that's falling apart. But I mean, they're still perplexed to even consider the idea that Sangheili and humans are living on the same planet. It's crazy to them. They've been asleep for 6 years.
I do love their dynamic though. I mean, they're wholly unique, and each three of them bring something new to the table. And I love how Jai is like the leader, but he's always thinking like that, and he's always thinking about the motivations, and like he's analyzing his team's response to gauge how they feel about what they're doing. And it's full of great moments of him just going, she's not committed to this, or Adriana didn't like how he said that, so he's looking for another solution, another way to get both his team members on board so they can act as one unit. And when they do, it just flows. It's just magic. I love that from his perspective. He needs to do that really well. And like, when they wake up and Mike is immediately hack into something and find out what's going on, Adriana is like checking out that door. She's got the weapon. She's ready to rock. She's very much like, I get the impression she loves guns. Do you know what I mean? She's a gun nut. I love that about her.
She's definitely like the fighter of the group. She's the one. They all carry guns, but she's kind of, her specialty is messing shit up and killing people.
Did anyone else notice how unbelievably badass and gory they made the plasma pistol in this book? There's so many occasions where the plasma pistol is like just fucking shit up.
Kill. It's like, what?
Yeah. And it's like he forces the plasma pistol into his skull and plasma through his face, and it's melting. And you're like, holy crap, that's awesome.
I mean, I would imagine that's actually how the plasma pistol works, if you're firing at like point blank range at someone. Yeah. Because he had it like in his mouth at the scene you were talking about, right? Like right under his chin.
But I just love that it's the weakest weapon in Halo is given such a dramatic and kind of emphasis in this book as being awesome. I think that's so cool.
Also, I find it funny, like, there's many times where Melody has to pick up a plasma pistol and all the Sangheili, like, laugh at her because it looks so big in her hands.
It's so big like, in human hands. Yeah, I love that. And even, like, Adriana makes a comment that, like, when they kick her, like, I have no weapons, and Joy throws her over the gun, and she's like, I have a very small weapon. You know, like, even the Spartans are, like, dismissive of it.
Yeah. It's not a big, shiny weapon. They like big, shiny weapons. Come on. So, do we want to talk about Hikabe?
Hekabe?
Yeah.
Or Hikabe.
Is that how it's said in the book?
Hekabe.
I went Hikabe.
Okay. Our brute friend.
He's kind of an interesting brute, and then he stops being an interesting brute.
The most interesting part of Hikabe is when he's wearing the helmet and interacting with like the voices inside this helmet, this weird Forerunner helmet that he managed to get. That's when he's interesting, but other than that, it's like, I'm brute, I destroy.
I think the most interesting thing about him is the fact that during the war on the Ark, he went off on his own and did this whole thing and got this helmet and came back again.
I find brutes that act outside the norm very interesting, like in terms of he seems very much like Atriox, and I like that. I like that he's just thinking not like a brute, let's say, or what we would typically
think of a
brute.
Conqueror.
Yeah, he's thinking like a bigger game.
He's got a really sad backstory. I kind of know everyone has, like, the elites of a sad backstory, but Hekabe in particular has they mention it a couple of times where, if you don't remember, Hekabe's clans were wiped out on their ships when the humans and the elites took out the last of the brutes during the schism at the end of the war. So Hekabe loses everyone, basically, and they talk about it a couple of times about how he's like, I wonder did our young scream and cry and call my name when they were going to die, and this shouldn't upset me, and I shouldn't dwell on it, but I do. And it's like, even an uncaring brute, the idea of losing all of his young just like dements him
still
completely.
Bothers him. That's a very common theme between the three kind of races here. They're all outcasts, or they're all remnants. They've lost families, or all so much. Like, they're all refugees. The humans, the brutes, and the Sangheili. and like each of them has a different approach to how they deal with that. And I like that, like, humans tried to build, the Sangheili tried to build, and then the brutes just want to come in and conquer shit. Do you know what I mean? They're just completely different. But I suppose they're probably more desperate.
Well, they kind of want to build their own because like they give the impression that they're on the edge. There's like they're running out of food, they're running out of resources, and this is how they're going to get some respect.
It's not a bad plan, to be fair.
No, it's a pretty good plan up until the point that the helmet hijacks him. Because when he gets as far as putting the helmet on, we find out there's like they never really. It's not an AI. It seems to be like
it's like the remnants of the minds that
of the previous minds, yeah, which there can't be many of. You think
that combined with whatever happens when your brain's spread out through the Sharkoi seems to like destroy the person in it. Because I think a couple of times he says like the Hecabe that was here before the helmet is gone, and I'm just like this weird leftover afterthought, and he becomes like a different creature.
It like spreads the being so thin that they're just not the same person anymore. Everything kind of changes for them. Like the universe kind of opens for them because they can see through all these different eyes, but also they're just spread across all of these different beings. And we should probably just go into what this helmet does. Who wants to explain what the helmet does?
I'll take a stab at it if you want.
Okay.
I think the easiest way to describe it is this helmet turns you into the Borg Queen.
Yes.
You put this helmet on. The spikes drive down into your head, which is not a compromise. Did the Forerunners not know enough about wireless technology that they needed spikes to go into your head and leave studs behind?
Yeah, where's the Wi-Fi version of this helmet?
Yeah, like so this thing drives down into your head.
It's very brutal for Forerunner tech, to be fair.
It is, and then it's kind of a brutal plan. So the plan was this thing goes into your head, and then they have these creatures called the Sharkoi, which are actually like, I think a fairly like timid, gentle race of creatures that aren't super intelligent.
I wouldn't say necessarily timid, because I think they say like without the helmet, they're still pretty lethal, and they were still like attacking and being aggressive.
They're
just
wild
coordinated.
animals, though.
They are, but they kind of sound more like they only attack when provoked. They're not like the feral sort of vicious creatures they are with the helmet on. But the reason
I love what they are in terms of like, I know we said it's a very desperate and brutal kind of way of controlling them, but they are essentially one of the extreme measures the Forerunners undertook to kind of combat the Flood, in terms of the Sarqui are immune to the Flood, which I think is a very important point.
Yes, they came up with this plan because these guys, they're immune to it. I get the feeling this is before composer tech was even a thing, so they come up with this plan to convert these guys.
It could be just one of those things where like a mad Forerunner went off and developed this and didn't tell a lot of people. Do you know what I mean? It may have been like a secret.
I get the
It's one of those
feeling
things.
it was known about, because they mention later that there are Sharkoi all over the place, and there are hives of them all over the place. They even have some of them on High Charity, allegedly.
I got the impression they were still rare, even if the hives are like thousands big, that they're not exactly like shield worlds.
No, they're not everywhere, but I think they seem to be in enough places that people, Forerunners, probably knew about them. But anyway, the gist of it is, when you put this helmet on, you become like the Ant Queen, and then these creatures would do your bidding, and you could, in theory, fight the Flood. The problem being that once you seem to put the helmet on, it kind of skewers everything you're going for, because by the end of this, when Hecabe's, just before he has his helmet taken away from him, like he kills his second in command, he kills most of the other frightened brutes, he goes from like just wanting to help his own people to galactic domination and wiping out everyone else.
Yeah.
It seems to like corrupt you down and water you down, and I think like the governor has better luck with it later. She ends up with the helmet at one point, and I think she has a better job of she has a better job of keeping her shit together.
Like she was because her whole thing at the end, I guess we'll just talk about the end, but like she's trying to now destroy all of the Sarqoi, so then they don't become a threat for Carrow or just the rest of the universe. And so she's bringing them to basically blow them all up. But she's fighting, and she like tells herself, like, I don't know if I can do this with a 10-minute timer. I may need to set it off manually because this helmet might get the better of me and reverse what I'm trying to do. And just kind of tells the other team to get out of there while they can, because she doesn't know how much time she can basically hold off before the helmet takes over her and corrupts her.
Yeah.
Do we want to talk? Well, we kind of talked about everything, haven't we?
Well, let's talk more about the Sharkoi.
There's a lot of cool events in this, but I think one of the things I think really bad, like the grunts once again get a really bad doing in this book.
Oh my god.
They're brought in to dig and then just get immediately wiped out. Like Hekabe just decides, like, when he realizes that Thars in orbit has realized that Hekabe is up to no good. He's doing something on the surface that he's not happy with, and the ships are all crashing. By the way, all the ships crashing into the planet sounded awesome.
That really buckled me into this story when like great team's leaving and it's like they don't know where they need to go, so they're just going to go to the surface and they're trying to keep their ship together. Unwavering discipline. And I forget his name. Crap. Rajka is like, no, he has this internal monologue, and he's like, I have all of these goals and desires and all this stuff, but actually, you know what? I'm just really feeling the vengeance for the Demon 3, so I'm gonna abandon everything and follow them.
I love his speech to his crew just to get them revved up, because he's totally like he's all about the last stand, you know, sincerely last stand, cannot run from a last stand fight. We're being boarded. This is it. Last stand. We have to stand here. And then he totally just breaks his own brain to kind of like get out of that Sangheili way of thinking. I'm like, no, I want vengeance more than I want to fight Tars and have like a glorious death to be sung about. And he has like a crazy speech where like he actually tells the rest of, like, let's say what Great Team did is not well known and it's only known to a few. And I think it's awesome at the very, 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 very end where Osman is so fucking badass. What a badass woman.
Oh my
I love
god,
her so
that
much.
part when what she says.
Yeah.
Oh.
Just linking everything together. But anyway, flash forward back to the start, like Oran was saying, and Rodka just fucking beefs up his crew to like let them know this is what the Demon Tree did. They wiped out our planet. They killed everything. And everybody's just like, holy shit. Let's do it. And
he's like, I
run
had them
from
on
battle.
my ship, but
Yeah, it's like our ship's gonna die anyway. Like, why? Like, I don't want to go down. I'd rather, yeah, like you said, go down with vengeance and all that. And so he just just flies his ship into the atmosphere and basically just crashes. And Thars is kind of like, what are they doing? And more or less just follows them in the same sort of thing because his ship's kind of battered. But it's a little bit more intact, and so it's like this cascading sort of like just huge crash in the desert, and Grey Team's like looking up because they're like getting out of their ship, and they look up and they see the giant unwavering justice or unyielding justice. What is it?
Unwavering discipline.
Unwavering discipline, and just fly overhead and crash into the mountains, and they're like, well, I guess we gotta hurry up and go.
And then they go to the Oni facility.
Then they go to the Oni, where we get some answers.
Yeah, that's when they start explaining about the Sharkoi and stuff like that. Which, let's go back to the Sharkoi real quick. These guys are 16 feet tall, and their fists have the exact same power as a gravity hammer.
And there's thousands of them. They're pretty epic.
There's like literally 5,000 of them.
They compared their hide to like hunters. I think they reminded me of the what's the species on Reach? Is it the Gouda? Is that the
the big bunny
alien thing? Yeah, that's what they kind of reminded me from. So like I kept picturing just with giant like mallet arms, and then I looked up the photo of what they actually looked like.
Yeah, there are actually screenshots of like Halo CE of the Sharkoi.
Yeah, I think that's the weird thing before Halo CE, isn't it?
Before Halo CE, Halo was kind of supposed to be a more open world first person shooter.
Surprise!
And,
well, it was an RTS first.
It was an RTS like super early.
It was like this third person RTS, and they had these things. I like the fact that they link the Sharkoi to the influence for the Hunter designs. I thought that was cool.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I did think that the Sanhayum, the prophets, essentially kept the myth of these alive to keep races in line, kind of like, in terms of like the elites knew what the Sharqui were, but they thought they were fit make believe, and I love that then they think that that's where they based off the designs based on what they looked like, which kind of makes sense.
And even at one stage,
that's
they
pretty cool.
talk about how the prophets, like some of them, wanted to take the Sharkoi and High Charity and bring them to Earth to wipe out humanity. Like the few that were on High Charity were enough, they thought, to just like wipe everything out. And they take one hell of a beating. Like
they do.
It seems to be real luck of the draw whether or not you manage to kill one. Because like they talk about rhinos and stuff firing on them, and
it's also super bloody, super gory. I mean, it's very miserable for the humans. For the Carrow have like a militia, essentially their defensive forces in the city.
Oh, they're like ripping people apart.
They just get screwed up, man.
I don't know how it's described in other books, but I felt like this was the most like
it's pretty
creative, brutal and gruesome description of like warfare, where like brutes are ripping people's arms off, people are getting sliced in half with an energy sword, and they like just think the walls and rubble are just painted with blood and all this kind of stuff.
Oh man, when Rocket takes on Zachary with his sword, that was awesome.
It is.
Yes.
Can we talk about the number of people that like do a last stand to get the governor out of the way? Like, how many times did people...
Oh, the governor was so annoying. I think we can talk about that. Governor Ellis, we haven't really spoken that much about her. She's essentially the leader of the human faction on Carrow in the city. She's an engineer. She's not a soldier. She's not a politician. I think they make a big point of that. And her second in command is a ODST, retired. He's a bit of a badass, but he's Lamar. He behaves very differently than you expect from an ODST in this book. Like, he's all about saving lives and evac, and
he's of the opinion he wants peace. He's seen enough war.
Yeah, he's done fighting. I like his character, and I like his motivations.
Seems like he's like not necessarily a true veteran, but like it feels that he was like almost like he has PTSD in a way that like sets him out that I'm not all about that old life, and want to reform.
He's a great line where like Ellis says to him like, "You're an ex-ODST, you should be all about war," and he says, "I know enough about war to know the true value of peace more than any kind of civilian would." I think that's awesome. Yeah. That just sells it straight away that like you know why he does what he does throughout the course of this book, which is kind of slightly undermine Ellis in terms of trying to get humans off. Now, none of his kind of plans I think have much merit in terms of I can understand why they were shot down, and he just wanted to evac people and get them into space, but they can't go anywhere because there's no slip space enabled ships.
Yeah, all of his plans were kind of like stretching.
Yeah, they were just kind of buying time for like whoever they all. Even now, it's funny they still turn to the UNSC to come save them. But I do think we have mentioned it's an important thing to note that like Thars, when he first like goes against everybody and breaks the truce, he destroys all slip space ships the humans have, and then in the fight between the Thars and Ruka, only one ship, Thars' ship, has slip space capability, and even that crashes onto the surface. So like there's a lot of essentially that becomes a plot point later on where Thars is trying to repair that ship, and it's the one ship with slip space capability still in the system, let's say.
Yeah, because their end goal is to try and keep the Sharkoi on the planet and not let them escape, and then try and survive until someone comes to help them. While we're talking about Tars' ship, so we have an eventual standoff between Rajka and Tars. Rajka basically wins with the help of Grey Team and the Envoy. He brings them all there as if he's bringing them to Tars as a sacrifice, and then Rajka has a few camo elites that help take out Tars' men, and eventually they win. They take Tars hostage, and they tell Tars, "Please tell your crew to destroy your ship's slip space drive. The Sarkoi are coming. You're fucked if you don't do it. Please listen." And of course, he doesn't listen. So
he's like, "LOL, no."
Yeah, he's like, no, we'll wipe them all out because they have this real.
I got this.
Yeah, and his crew are the same because like his commander on the ship's like, "We will swat them out of the sky. It will be fine." Like if you've ever sort of thought of like elite that was too sure of himself,
there's very much, if we can say, like a stereotypical elite kind of mentality throughout this book.
It was
that's
just
constantly
like,
getting like. Yeah, they're constantly being shown up as being like wrong. I love that as well.
And Hecate has the best plan ever, because meanwhile he's taken the non-slip space capable human ships, he's taken control of them and filled them with Sharkoi, piloted by elites, and they fly them over Tars' ship, and then some of them explode and some of them just open the back doors and dump the Sharkoi out, and they fall through the sky,
cool.
hit the hull, and the ones that don't die just smash their way in. And it's like he wasn't worried in the slightest about how he was going to take this ship. It was just sheer, well, brute force, for lack of a better phrase. They just dump them out of the sky, and enough of them survive the impact on the ship that they take it, because that's the last thing you see before they take the ship, is the commander's on the hologram and he's talking to Tars, and then a Sharkoi smashes through the bulkhead of the bridge and wipes them all out.
And then Tars crumbles. I love, and I love.
No,
I love
he's complete. Like, he finally breaks, and he's just like, "Wow, I'm like it all is his like confidence and beliefs are just completely shattered, and he's like lowered to the actual like scum that he is."
Whereas Rodska just keeps going, because like he's definitely like top elite. He's cut from like the same cloth as the Arbiter. He knows enough to know when to change his plans and when to roll with it.
But I think he's only come to that through the story of this book. I think he was very different to the Arbiter at the beginning, because he was very standoffish towards the Arbiter, and even just, I mean, he was
kind of standoffish, but he like demonstrates it from the start, because he kept Grey Team because his plan was to trade them. Like, that's not a very elite thing to do. Like he said, anyone else would have just killed them in their pods, and that would have been the end of it.
Yeah, he was forward thinking, where he knew he would need to be on the good graces of the UNSC if he wanted to survive as his own little colony.
He was still battling with that decision though, because he was even thinking about it, and before Melody freed them, he was still like saying internally that he saved them for diplomatic reasons. Like, is now the good time to use that, or should I hold on to them, or no, I really just want to kill them deep down inside. And then after Great Team finally escapes, that kind of helps fuel his rage to then go after them. He's like, why didn't I just do what every other Sangheili would have done?
We hadn't touched on it, but I thought it was a wonderful point about the dates, that essentially the Covenant war was over, but the Grey Team didn't know and still wiped out the planet based on their previous kind of orders. That's a huge plot point, and it's awesome. That's why the team is broken, because obviously Adriana did not want to wipe them out, and it was like a 2-1 vote.
Well, since we're talking about it, let's talk about Operation Sunspear, which is what led to this event in Grey Team. After the events of the Cole Protocol, they're basically told to go hide in Sangheili space and assassinate some of their high-ranking leaders. And so that's what Grey Team does for a while, and then they're told it's basically like a no options plan. It's like, if the Covenant is found in the Sol system, we are going to explode one of the Sangheili worlds to show them that they are not untouchable.
I think the best way,
we can touch you.
the way I took it was, this was kind of like Oni's, kill from beyond the grave strategy. Was they knew when they sent Grey Team out,
last resort.
This was, we are now fucked, we are dead, but you're going to go off and kill these motherfuckers so that we didn't die in vain. Like, this is kind of what I get from it, is they're sending...
Oh, they spell it out. They say that straight up.
And they're sending Grey Team, like, specifically to wipe this planet out, because this is the planet where the commanders of the cruisers that came to Earth come from, which I'm curious how Oni had that info.
Oh, does Oni have any info?
Well, like, there's loads of scenes and loads of comments of Melody, and even, I forget the Oni operative's name who's at that base. There's loads of cases where they mention that they of their Covenant and ex-Covenant spies. They seem to have a massive load of kind of previous Covenant aliens now working with Oni. They reference this all the time, so I imagine they have a lot of information coming to them from different sources, if even previous ex-Covenant races. I mean, we get that. I mean, who knows where this information could come from? All sorts. I mean, they had Julam Dama for some period of time giving them information. Do you know what I mean? They get all sorts of it. So I mean, I don't know. There's just so much in this book. It's wonderful.
There is. Do we want to talk about grey teams like PTSD for a minute and Spartan PTSD?
Yes, since we talked about
Sunspear. So yeah, the aftermath of Sunspear is pretty much where we meet Grey Team, and they're broken, and we don't know why. And as I said, slowly over the book, we find out what they did, and that it wasn't an unanimous decision, and that's led to them freaking out over the fact that they wiped out a planet.
Well, and also the big kicker was it was peace when they did that. They were cut off from comms so badly because of all the warring in the Sol system that they had no idea that the Oni was literally brokering peace as this event happened.
Yeah. Wasn't it a unanimous decision? I thought, am I remembering wrong? Didn't the three of them vote on it in the end? Didn't they say
voted on it, but it was a 2-1.
Jai made a call, and Grey Team just kind of submitted to his...
Melody used her crazy psychic powers as an envoy to determine when they were telling the story. That when Jai was coming out to everybody and telling them the story in the Oni base, she determined that, it says it in the book, that it wasn't a unanimous decision. And I get the impression that because Adriana is so cold towards Jai for the most of the book, that she did not want to go through with the orders. And Mike probably said, yes, let's do it. And then it was left to Jai to make the decision as the leader. And he said, yeah, let's do it. So, it's cool.
Yeah, and like it's in the quiet moments the Grey Team fall apart, because once they're fighting, everything's fine. But like once things quieten back down, they're almost at each other's throats. Like they're not quite, but sometimes they won't talk to each other.
They
Other
dismiss
times, Mike's been really confrontational the whole time. Adriana's kind of not speaking. Jai's like, "Oh, we fucked this all up. You know, we're never going to be the same again." Whereas, like, you imagine if this was Black Team, they'd all have a fist fight.
Yeah, that's true.
Still, because they're Grey Team, like, they don't completely break down. But at least it's good to know that, like, as sort of cold as Spartans can be sometimes, they're not really up for genocide. They have limits.
They kind of have a code.
Yeah, they never really address it anywhere else before, but like we don't really know the limits of what a Spartan-II is willing to do.
I think it's got to be on an individual basis.
Yeah, definitely.
And especially like these Spartans are the odd ones out, as we keep hearing. Do you know what I mean? They're very different. They're the radical ones.
Yeah, I kind of feel like they'd have made good Spartan-IIIs. They seem
they
like they'd fit right in there with that sort of group of people.
But the Spartan-IIIs are more like suicidal missions and stuff like that. And Grey Team do the suicidal missions. They just always come out of it.
Yeah, I kind of get a very Noble Team vibe off them, though. Although Noble Team work a little better together, but I kind of feel like Noble Team are always giving each other shit, but they kind of, like, they toe the line when they need to. And I feel like the only difference between Noble Team and Grey Team is Noble Team are willing to listen to Carter, whereas Grey Team kind of listen to Jai. But let's be fair, like if Jai tells Adriana no, I feel like she's going to do her own thing most of the time anyway.
I think it depends on what it is.
Yeah.
The dynamic is unique, and I like it a lot.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting to see that, like, how they're coping with things after the fact, because I feel like you definitely don't have enough of that. Like, we need more of, like, we kind of have it with Chief, but not really as a book yet. Like we've had glimpses of how he's not really coping with life and just throws himself into his work. But I feel like we don't have enough of the other Spartan-IIs. Well, you kind of get a lot of it in like the Kilo 5 trilogy, although it's not so much Naomi coming to terms with her work, that's like her coming to terms with her family life.
Yeah, that's true. It's kind of, it's mostly her coming terms to what happened to her. Let's move on to the first plan against Hikabe.
The assassination attempt?
Yes.
That was so
this
badass.
was great.
It was so freaking cool. So basically what this plan was Adriana, being a very good shot, takes one of the most powerful sniper rifles she can find. It was like, tell me where he is and I will shoot that damn thing off of his head. And so they're stuck in a building and she's just waiting for the call. And I think it's Melody and the governor have cameras everywhere and they're scouting the area. And finally she gets a clear shot, and boom, right through the eye. And Hikabe falls over, and the Sharkhoists stop briefly, and then he gets back up.
I love the helmet just rebuilds his face.
Even parts of his brain reassemble, because he lost huge amount of brain tissue.
But it seems like it's not that it returned, it's more like the, what did you call it? Whatever, the helmet replaces it with like...
The tendrils?
Yeah, in terms of like it takes further
because
control of him.
When they talk about it later, when he loses the helmet, he's just like a blind, fucked up mess.
Yeah,
I think that was so brutal. Do you want to talk about the end of the book? Because
I mean, we can talk about the next plan against him.
Yeah, sorry, because that plan was fucking dope. I love that.
What I will say, last thing about the first plan is that what I really liked about how like that plan went, and it kind of plays into a lot of the second plan, but just like how it was written, and to where like the different point of views were used very effectively.
Oh yeah, it was very well told.
Because it starts off with Melody and Elise in like the bunker, and they're like arguing over like what plan to basically do or where we should put our resources, and they're kind of watching everything. And then from there, over the comms, you hear Adriana say, "Hey, I have a shot. I'm gonna take it." And then from there, it cuts to Cart. I can't remember his name. I just read the book. The elite, Jarka. What's his name?
Rajka.
Rajka.
Rajka. I'm gonna write that down. My goodness. But then it cuts to him, and he's like talking about like his kind of assault through the buildings, and I'm like talking about the like working, like how he's gripping his mind around like working with the Sangheili, or working with the humans, and especially the demons, and all this kind of stuff. And then all of a sudden he hears like a giant crack, like a thundering like roar or whatever, and we the reader know that it's the sniper rifle. And he's like, "Oh, it must have been a human weapon." And he goes up and he sees the brute just like on the ground, and then it cuts to
Hikabe.
Hikabe, and then it's from his point of view of like oh, what just happened? Like I don't feel anything.
Am I dead?
Yeah, am I dead? Like I definitely got shot or something. It's
my
like
face is in two parts.
Yeah, and so like just how the perspective just kind of wrapped around the battlefield was great, and it just, I don't know, it was just really well written, and I really liked that. And then that to its fullest extent happens again at the end, which you guys can get into.
Yes, let's go to... So a bunch of stuff happens between...
Yeah, shout out to the plan where they drop big rocks on the elite ship or the brute ship and take it out.
Oh, that was way earlier.
Yeah, that was... Yeah.
I thought that was a cool callback to kind of what happened at the end of Cole Protocol as well.
Yeah, funny that they did the same thing twice, essentially bringing previously mined asteroids into the surface, into the atmosphere, and just dropping them on fucking ships. I love that. It's awesome.
But basically, everyone's gone. Thars is dead. The Sharkhui have a ship with slipspace capabilities now, so they need to act fast. And the human city is being evacuated. So the only people left are the governor, Melody, Rakcha, and Grey Team. And they're like, okay, what do we do? Well, you know what would be really cool? We can't actually climb down the shaft fast enough. So what we're going to do is we're going to fly up and drop down.
Yeah, as I say, before all that, are you talking about the gun, David?
Yeah, so what's powering this city is essentially a Havoc nuke that's being converted into a power plant. So then the governor, Ellis, takes a whole bunch of crazy stems, gets her super awesome team of engineers together.
Engineer buds.
And hook up this nuke to a Gauss hog and turn it into a crazy EMP cannon.
Yeah, they find out that the helmet works with electromagnetic waves, so they want to...
I love that.
Yeah, that's really cool.
I love that they get, like, the engineers are assessing all the data they have and trying to figure out what the helmet is. Oh, it has signals on it. It's projecting some kind of emission, therefore it's some kind of electronics, so they think, okay, an EMP will probably disrupt it, but even then they say for a short period of time. So they build the most epic EMP gun they can think of, and then in typical kind of Spartan-II fashion, they just kind of like take over and just weld it onto a bloody jackrabbit.
Which, by the way, I was happy, just a side note, like, and this just kind of goes on throughout the book, I was very pleased of like the versatility of like vehicle and weaponry they like is discussed in this book.
Oh yeah, they bring in
'Cause
everything.
They bring in everything. They have a nightingale like earlier. They have talk about the jackrabbit.
They
talk
have
about Kodiak.
rhinos.
They have rhinos. The grunts have a grunt.
They have grunt
the grunt mech,
goblins. Yeah.
The grunt goblins.
The brute gun platform sounded awesome.
Yes.
Like this, like whatever ship it was, just so much armor on it that it can barely stay in the sky, and it's just a mobile gun platform.
Did you picture
essentially.
it? They kind of sound like the floating sniper towers, except they don't.
That's
need a
exactly
base
what I
platform.
pictured in my brain.
Like I kind of don't ever want to face one of those in single player Halo because I don't want one to chase me.
Yeah.
But the idea
It's
of having
scary.
to run from the sniper tower is terrifying.
So yeah, I just thought that was a great detail that really fleshed out
Truly, yeah.
the whole, like, all the factions. Yeah.
Yeah, it really makes good connections between, some of the vehicles we see in Halo Wars and the vehicles we see in the mainline Halo games, because there's kind of a separation right now between them, so it's nice for them to come together in this book.
Yeah, because I took that, because I think it was Mike who suggested the jackrabbit, and they're just like, what? How do you know about a jackrabbit?
Yeah,
But
true.
it just kind of, I think it's supposed to be that they've always kind of been there in the background, and it's just when you think you need to use a jackrabbit, the time will come. So, Krysta, what's their plan?
Their plan is to go down there with this jackrabbit with a kind of gauze cannon put on it and just drop straight down into it. Into this, the Forerunner structure is like just a big hole, basically. To drop down and shoot Hikabe with it to disable him long enough for them to either get the helmet off of him. That kind of part of the plan's not quite clear. It's like, do we want the helmet or do we want to kill him?
I assume they just would decapitate him. That's kind of what I thought, at least Rajko was going to do, is just, after it gets fired, he would just come up, because he uses his sword the whole book, so I figured he would say an awesome line and then just slice his head off.
Yeah, it seems like the kind of, the helmet needs Hecate to work, so if we just remove the head from Hecate, problem solved. And then I assume they would have just popped the nuke out and blown the whole thing.
I guess, yeah. I mean, I loved, also in typical Halo fashion, the Pelicans get fucked up and crash. So that's also important to know this is a true Halo book because it has crashing Pelicans.
Of course.
I do love the idea of that hot insertion, the Pelicans going almost horizontal, vertical, and enemy troops are dropping out of the bay as opposed to jumping out of it, just they get dropped right above it. I think that'd be a cool thing to play and see. That'd be just badass.
There's so many moments in this book that would be cool to play, though. Let's say that.
One kind of side note, I think Melody coming along on that mission is so dumb and just didn't really seem to need to happen. She had no purpose going on that mission.
Her purpose was that she actually knew exactly what the inside of the Forerunner structure looked like.
That's what she said, but it sounded like there was only one way down and one way to go, and that they didn't really need her directions for anything in particular. Not that I can remember. Maybe she does give directions or something, but
it's basically just for dramatic effect, I think, honestly.
Yeah. Plus, I feel like she kind of feels responsible for Grey Team because she woke them up and got them into this. It seems like she would have gone with them anyway because she feels like some sort of ownership over the Spartans.
So pretty much the plan goes absolutely perfect according to plan. Bunch of Marines and ODSTs get killed. They're not ODSTs, they're the militia.
They're just militia.
They all get,
the militia.
They get wiped out.
They have good last stands.
They do. The Jackrabbit makes it more or less to the end. They shoot the cannon. They get...
Oh, but before they shoot the cannon, the Shirkoi, break, I guess, the front wheels or something, so the Jackrabbit can't move.
Oh, yeah.
So then Mike rips the Gauss cannon off
Jai,
the Jackrabbit and... Oh, is it Jai?
I think it is.
I thought it was Mike.
I think Mike is using rockets or something. He's doing crazy stuff.
Okay, so Jai picks up the Gauss cannon and just walks it over, and all the sensors in his heads-up display were flashing, and so he was using the armor basically to its fullest capacity, and just basically marching it as close as he can get it until he's all right, guys, I can't go any farther. This will have to work.
And then they fire it, and then Ellis literally pulls this helmet which is ingrained into Hikabe's skull
out
of
his
him.
face. Yeah.
And then she puts it on, and then mwahaha, this world is mine.
Right before that happens, Rocket goes on an awesome killing spree.
Oh
with
yeah,
his sword,
that was
just
amazing.
Yes.
minting his way through the Sharkway. I mean, he's such a great character.
Honestly, how many times did Rajka say, "This is where I die" in this
Yeah.
game? Because it's like,
So
this is
many
where I
last
die.
stands.
No, not yet. No,
I
this
kinda
is where
feel
I
like
die. No.
This leads us back to the lesson from Oasis, where it's just like never give up until the end, because just when you think you're gonna die, you're probably not gonna die yet. Like, I feel
Yeah.
like that's the
Good
most
plan.
important
Good
lesson
plan.
from Oasis, and Rajka's definitely a believer in that. It's just like, nah, it's I might die here, but it's not over till it's over.
Yeah, even Melody says that, because like there was, and like I guess the third instance where he said he was going to die, Melody's like, well, you said that we were going to die on the ship in space, but we didn't because we pressed on. So you don't know if you're going to die when you meet Thars or whatever.
Yeah, she definitely helps him along in his development.
She does. There's this weird chemistry between the two. It's like weird different species chemistry.
I like how that plays out in the end, but let's not skip to that just yet. So you were saying, Chris, that the Governor Ellis throws the helmet on her head and takes control, assuming control.
Did anybody else think like, oh shit, when she did that? Like, oh no, she's gonna kill everyone?
Yeah,
I actually
was like, oh, no.
didn't.
really.
When she did that, I was like, "Oh, that's good thinking." Now she can use I thought she was gonna like use the Sirkoi to like help rebuild
you totally believed in her?
Carrow, and like, yeah, I like 100% believed in her. Was like, "Oh, this will be good. This is like one of those things like she'll be able to use it for good, and it's gonna manipulate her goodness. So then she'll do good things."
I was instantly prepared for the evil
but
turn.
I was very quickly realized, oh wait.
I thought she'd been built up in terms of like very anti-Sangheili, very anti-Brute, now very anti-UNSC, and that's pretty much what the Spartans represent. Very anti-Oni. Do you know what I mean? So she'd hated
Right.
Melody.
She had like a little monologue with that, and
yeah.
when she said that, I was like, yeah, okay. I mean, that makes a whole lot of sense. That all she cares about is her people and Carrow, so she's gonna be that bad guy, so to speak. That everything's a threat. I have to kill everything now.
But it is cool the moment where she gets them a lift out of the chamber because they can't get out fast enough. So she uses one of the Sharkoi to like go and tell a couple of soldiers to go and get a pelican for them. And you're just like, that's got to be a creepy moment where the big monsters you were fighting a minute ago suddenly turn around and speak with the voice of the governor.
Yeah.
That was cool that I wasn't expecting, but I like that Cheetah's just sitting there with the nuke and they're trying to great team Melody and Roka, which are the last people left alive, are fighting their way back up and trying to make it up, and then this fucking pelican just drops in to pick them out. I think that's kind of a cool image, and just a cool kind of ending. And then the nuke goes off.
Yeah, it immediately
and it crashes. Yeah.
Talk about chilling moments though, like when she. So like when you're wearing this helmet, you control all the Shirkoi, but like you can speak through them and they can all like talk and stuff. And when Hekabe said his stuff, like it was just this like pretty menacing voice. But like whenever Elise would like say her stuff, like I am not Hekabe, or like you need to leave now.
It was like through all
like,
of them.
Like
At
it
the
was.
same
I don't
time.
know. I really felt that like her. I guess embodiment was like more menacing than Hekabe's where it was.
Yeah.
Well, she was more unstable, I think, at that point anyway.
Also,
like.
she hadn't slept in 5 days.
Yeah, that's too. That's what I mean. Like she's on edge. I mean, Hekabe had a plan, but she was just.
Do we feel like
acting
she
on instinct.
maybe had better control because it's back to the old thing of humans, were the next in line after the Forerunners? Like I kind of wondered that as well. Like, was Hekabe always doomed to failure?
She very much, the helmet was trying to engaging in self-preservation and fighting her actively, so I think she did a great job of holding it together. But I'm under no illusions that like if she wasn't trying to like kill them all, that she would have gone down the same route as Hekabe and just be like overwhelmed.
Yeah. Seems like the helmet just brings out your dark side completely.
Yeah, it almost makes you like rampant in a way, like kind
of
breaks your brain.
Yeah, just kind of
you think
makes you become
kind of. So I guess once the Pelican crashes and everyone's safe and whatnot, the book kind of wraps up really nicely, I think.
Oh, it does. Also, it gives the biggest cock tease ever for the next Grey Team mission. I'm like, God damn it! Why'd you have to do this? It's like, oh, you guys are going to be on a special team with elites.
I love their debrief. It is pretty cool, and essentially, I think, first up, Rutger's story arc comes to a head where he returns to his city because he's broken now at this stage. He's done fighting. He's in bits. Sharkey really did a number on him. Really showed him what a badass kind of elites are in terms of their natural kind of affinity just for being strong. I mean, it's what this kind of the Spartans
warriors. Yeah,
they're warriors. Yeah, they're a warrior race, but they're hardcore. And he returns back to his city, and obviously the leadership that was left behind has changed. Things have changed. And all he wanted to do at this end was just to see his home again. He just wanted to see his gardens. He wanted to see his keep. But he knows that he's returning as more or less like a failure in the eyes of the Sangheili, where he didn't die and literally everyone else involved with him died. He's the only elite more or less to survive this. I'm sure there's probably one or two more.
But he was a right
kicking around.
badass, though. I mean,
he was.
He tried to die.
He tried
did
a lot of
several
times.
several times. But I can't remember the Sangheili who's in charge at the very end, but he gives them a choice. He's very much I've taken over now. I'm Kaidan. How do you say that?
Kaidan.
I'm Kaidan, so he's the leader of the city, essentially, of the Sangheili on this planet. Rutger does a very unelite thing where he just kind of accepts that fact that I can see what would happen next. That if I say no, you kill me, I die a glorious death, whatever, you take over. Or I just do what elites don't do, and which is just submit and just be yeah, I will step down essentially and let you do your thing. I just want to see my home again. And then he gets them an awesome offer by this elite in terms of I need someone. He's also forward thinking and knows that the humans are on the way in mass numbers in UNSC, and he needs someone to be an envoy on the behalf of the Sangheili to them. And Rutger kind of thinks what an envoy is, what that means, how Sangheili it is. He kind of struggles with that very quickly, and I love his thought process and how he works it through, where he's obviously, like you said, Krysta, has a weird dynamic with Melody in terms of his understanding of her is far greater in her job, and I think he likes the idea of doing that himself. He comes to terms with that and essentially becomes an envoy himself. I like that.
It was he had a cool circular story. He kind of ended where he began with trying to foster peace between the two peoples.
But in a very different position, in a very different sense of mentality.
And I think Rajka and Melody will make a lovely couple.
I think they'll be a beautiful couple. I can't wait to read that Halo graphic novel, huh?
I don't know how that's gonna work, but it'll be interesting.
Halo's first love story.
Second.
No, it's
Second.
Sergeant Johnson.
Oh yeah, second.
Sergeant Johnson got his lovin'.
He knows what the ladies like.
Oh God, don't remind me.
But, I mean, towards the very end of the book, we get a nice surprise. Osmond shows up, the head of Oni, Spartan-II.
Osmond has a habit of doing that.
I love it.
I like
She
how
just
she
shows up.
just shows up on the desk.
No, yeah. And the Corporal Dunkirk, is that his name?
Yeah.
He was like, "Oh, Osmond, I didn't know you were here." And it's like, "Oh, well, I have business in the area, so I decided to just drop by, see how Grey Team was doing. How are they?"
And then she just drops.
He's like, "They want a
teases
prowler,"
and
and
hints
she's
all over
like,
the place.
"Well, give him a prowler." That's
Give
pretty
him a prowler. We're gonna put him on this new team.
And apparently she set everything into or Oni set everything into motion. She's like, "How do you think the Sangheili knew where to find Grey Team's drop point?" And it was like, "Oh shit."
Now, I think for that though, I think that was Oni trying to really just cover up their
take credit
tracks with that, because I don't think they were banking on the idea that the Sangheili were going to take Grey Team's cryopod with them. Or how long did he have the cryopod? Did he have it 6 years ago, or was it?
No, he got it.
It was
recently.
a recent thing. Yeah, I think I think it was just an educated guess. I think maybe they were just playing fast and loose, because I imagine at this stage, Grey Team are a liability Do you know what I mean? They've just wiped out a planet in peacetime.
Yes.
They've created a big problem. So I'm sure, from Osmond's point of view, either they get rescued and get killed straight away, in which case, okay, problem solved, and then the elites are, let's say, satiated, and then they can go back to having peace.
That's the kind of subtext I got from it as well.
Was I mistaken in the part where I feel like he found Grey Team and they were the catalyst to go to the negotiating table because Rajka suddenly felt like he had a hand to play?
I got the impression that he was already in the bad books with the Sangheili, because he was already negotiating with humans and the Arbiter.
With his cousin, with Thars?
Yeah, like Thars, like he was, like he had, and literally, like he said, he told nobody about it, and everybody was still pissed off with him that he was dealing with humans.
But I feel like that's it, but I kind of got the impression that when he found them, whenever this was, and he put them in the cargo bay, that's what made him start negotiating with the humans. It was like, I have these humans and I can either trade them to the Arbiter or I can trade them to humanity, but someone's gonna cut me a good deal for 3 Spartans.
Yeah,
maybe.
I feel like that was kind of like, I don't know,
sure
that's the
it
impression I
helped, but,
got, is that was his motivation to like sit down and like take one for the team.
I'm sure, like he said, like if he had gone to war and wiped out the humans on Carrow, he would expect repercussions to come from that. Like, so it's not just that he only negotiated because of that. I'm sure, like you said, he wanted to settle down. That was in his mind even at the start. So I guess he was of that disposition anyway. But I love that. I love the idea that Oni is just orchestrating crazy mad shit and taking crazy chances, which Osmond really does. If you read the Kilo 5 trilogy, you know what a crazy bitch she is.
Oh yeah,
so.
She's amazing. I love her. Also, Melody gets a happy story. Or happy
Kind
ending
of.
to her story.
I
Well,
think-
she becomes
yeah,
the
she-
voice for
she
the
doesn't-
Swords of Sanghelios.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I don't think she knows fully what her next. Cause I think Osmond just says this is what we're going to do with her, but Melody doesn't really know yet.
She doesn't know yet, yeah.
Because she had her kind of internal segment in the kind of epilogue chapter, and she was like, yeah, I'll probably just go back to being kind of an unofficial person, more so in the shadows, that doesn't get fully recognized, but it still could be kind of cool because I do have like a unique position. So she was trying to find like a silver lining in it, but it seemed that she was kind of accepting that like she's still going to be this weird like honorary role where she's part of the diplomatic corps, but then also has like ties with Oni,
Secret
but like
Oni
not
operative,
really.
yeah.
But like then Osmond's like, no, yeah, we have good things for her.
New plans, yeah, it's awesome.
Final impressions, everyone?
Awesome book.
Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. I want more Grey Team.
If you love Grey Team, you'll love this book. It's amazing. Also, the Sharkhui are a really cool race that we hope to see more of, so hopefully we will. You know, more of that.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah, I liked how it was like, even like, yeah, it's a Grey Team story, but like what I liked most about it was it had Spartans in it doing Spartan things, but then you got to see brutes and humans and Sangheili all like trying to do their own thing, and they're all tied and mixed up in this like very like kind of isolated conflict where they just want to live on this planet and make their own thing, but the humans in Sangheili have their own like ways of doing that, and then you have the Johane that come in that are like, we want to own this planet ourselves so then we can rule the galaxy by taking these other alien species. So like just kind of throwing them all in this huge pot and kind of just having them all mixed together is just, I thought, a very engaging story that really like from the like I said from the beginning, like you like meet the action right there with the Civil War, and you just kind of keep going on this adrenaline rush that kind of dies down a little bit with kind of the Thars subplot, but like it once they get rid of him, it ramps back up again.
Yeah.
And like you're just like it's I don't know, I like it because of how like nice and small it is in a way, because other Halo stories kind of bounces around to like different parts of the galaxy and then everything kind of comes together, whereas this is like real time. Everything is pretty much connected at every moment that you're reading about it. So that's kind of why I like really attached myself to this story so much.
Well said.
Any other impressions? I think it's definitely worth a read. Fun stuff. Aaron, anything?
I think we've kind of hit it all. It's good. It's nice to have Grey Team back. They do something different in this book. It's nice to see Spartans, like Spartan-IIs especially, take a moment to address some issues with everything they've been asked to do. And the Sharkoi are Like, as surprises that come out of the ground in Halo come, they're an interesting one.
They are. It's kind of like they're reusing old ideas that they had, which is a good thing that they kind of never came to fruition until now.
And like David said, it's always nice to have a brute that kind of goes against the mold. Like, it's never a bad thing to have one of those. So I definitely recommend it to people. Like, I think it's worth reading and having a listen to. And
yeah, and just smart bad guys are just so much more entertaining to read or like battle against, like
and then not knowing who the bad guy is, and then switching sides and moving back and forward, betrayals. It's all very interesting and keeps you engaged. And also, I do like the shout out to the Banished that is in this book. Just tying the fact that Atriox and the Banished did exist during this time, and we just didn't know about them.
Well, it was 2558, so they're probably around the arc at this time. It's kind of the same timeline as Halo Wars 2.
But I like the idea that like it's still in the lore. It's just being touched on and certain little points here and there that over in this corner, the Banished did their thing. And it only certain, like, the humans might not have known a whole lot about them, but the Covenant as a whole probably did. And definitely Brutes did.
Well, I definitely think we're going to be talking more about this book later. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But as it stands for now, that is our book club on Halo Envoy. We have many other book clubs that you can check out at halopodcastevolved.com. You can find us on Facebook at Podcast Evolved, on Twitter, a lot of places, and you can find our personal social media accounts linked there as well. So for all of us, thank you for listening to our book club, and evolved.
Evolved.
Evolved.